They're showing up sick. Do you hear me? They're showing up sick.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon.
You only recently were able to clear migrants out of the police stations, but now it appears that the flow is back and there are migrants at police stations again. And there are now reports that the buses that could be subject to seizure or towing if they don't obey the rules are starting to lead people outside of Chicago and giving them train fare to get into the city. First off, what do you think about that tactic, and what can the city do?
Well, first of all, this international crisis that the entire world is dealing with, the type of chaos that's being administered at the border is what we're, working to solve. And from the very beginning, the buses coming from Texas have not centered people's humanity, and it's actually been quite raggedy. What I've attempted to do, because it's important in this moment, because the entire world is reeling for answers. The city of Chicago is providing some structure and parameters around this mission. That's what leaders do in this moment. And so we've stood up multiple shelters. We have thousands of children who are in our public schools right now. Most of them are in preschool or up to third grade. And, it's disheartening that the governor of Texas is literally invoking chaos without having like a real clear willingness to coordinate. And all we simply did, to your question around the ordinance, was to create better coordination. Now, Alderman Hall is here. There were others who went to the border to have conversations at the border, and having coordination is what is the minimum expectation. Now, if you remember, back in May, when I was sworn in, I believe there were almost 900 or so people living in police districts. And I said from the very beginning that this is not dignified. And so we've worked hard to eliminate people from living on floors who are showing up in Chicago in some of the worst health conditions. And I did get reports that there are about 20 people, I believe, that are scattered throughout the city of Chicago and police districts, and we'll respond to it. But again, a month ago, there were 4,000. Look, Alderman Burnett has already expressed this. It wasn't a failure to acknowledge our victories. Sometimes we do so much, we don't keep track of the work that we're doing. We just do it. And no matter how contrite, that sometimes, people are in this moment, it doesn't, excuse the poor behavior that's coming from Texas. And so we're going to continue to provide structure and order and direction in this moment, because that's what the people of Chicago deserve, and that's what we're giving them.
Mayor, the shelter at Halstead and Cermak, a 5-year-old boy was there shortly before he died this weekend. There have been reports that their conditions are unsafe, unsanitary. Do you have confidence that that shelter is safe for people to live? I believe there's over 2,000 people living there.
Well, again, let me just emphasize again, the conditions in which people are arriving in Chicago are quite disturbing. The people who are at the border sleeping outside in the cold, out in the rain, trekking through thousands of miles of jungles, being forced on buses without any clear direction of where they're going. And while children and women were living on floors in police districts, and my administration eliminated that practice, there were ambulatory runs, 911 calls, because again, people are showing up in very extreme circumstances, very, very unhealthy. And so what I'm confident is that all of our levels of government are coming together to provide support for these individuals who are seeking asylum. And we're going to continue to assess our work as we move forward. And of course, we're providing support for the family, and we are obviously deeply sorry and hurt by this loss. And it's not lost on any of us here that the conditions in which people are showing up in Chicago, they're worse. The last reporter just indicated, they're just dropping all people anywhere. Do you understand how raggedy and how evil that is? You're just gonna put people on a bus and just take them somewhere and drop them off in the middle of the night? And then you wanna hold us accountable for something that's happened down at the border? It's sickening. And so, but just know that my work is, our work is not done. But let's be very clear. You know where this is promulgating from, right? You do know that, right? That you have a governor in Texas that can care less about those families and literally dropping them off, not just in Chicago, but anywhere and everywhere. It's wicked.
Mayor Johnson, volunteers at the migrant shelter, that staff denied requests for an ambulance to be called, denied medical help. Can you confirm those details? Is the administration, the city investigating whether medical help?
We're gathering information, as I've said before, at every single site throughout the city of Chicago. We provide on-site medical care. In fact, the county government has just put forth more dollars for more health care. But I want you to hear me good. They're showing up sick. Do you hear me? They're showing up sick. The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago, it's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country. The sensibility and the civility of our country, he is undermining that. It's all good. We good. Yes.
Mayor, given what's happened at the shelter this morning and what is, we've seen more ambulances show up there, is it time to reevaluate using these warehouses as places for shelter activities?
So I want to make sure I understand your question. Hold on, I got you. I just want to repeat back to me. I'm going to repeat to you what I believe you're asking me. You're asking me, based upon an out-of-control governor who is sending busloads of people all over the country, you're asking if Chicago should reevaluate how it handles the migrant crisis?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we've had at least one death at this particular shelter. We've seen more ambulances show up at this particular shelter this morning. While we were there, we saw people coming out sick. Does the city need to reevaluate the practice of using the warehouses, which were never designed for human habitation, as a solution in the migrant crisis?
As I said before, they are showing up sick. Listen, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're drawing a conclusion based upon a site. What I'm simply saying is when they get here, hold on. Listen, I am saying that they're showing up sick. Are you hearing me? They're showing up sick. And so we are doing everything in our power to treat the conditions in which they're arriving in. As far as us reevaluating our mission, look, an international crisis of global population shift based upon policies that have been promulgated for the last 20 years that have caused not just the sanctions, but have caused displacement for the entire globe. I just want us to understand in the city of Chicago, we are not alone in this crisis. There are hundreds of thousands of people being displaced from the continent of Africa, from Central and South America. So this question about reevaluating, how about we do this? How about we reevaluate all of our international policies that are causing the chaos that we're experiencing right now, and let's evaluate the sanctity of someone in Texas who disregards people. That's what we should be reevaluating.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Mayor, I want to go back to the issue, the volunteers. They have said repeatedly that they've asked to get access to the sites to help provide medical care, and that they've been denied that repeatedly by the city. As Charlie pointed out, there have been a number of ambulance runs today after this 5-year-old child had died. It's led people to tell us that the medical care being provided at this site is inadequate. We respond to that criticism.
So there are volunteers that want to provide medical assistance?
That's right, and they're saying that they were.
Are these, hold on a second, are these medically trained volunteers?
Yes,
Okay, I'm not aware of any medical volunteers that want to go into sites to provide medical care. I'm not aware of that.
they've been volunteering for months at the police district.
So hold on, I just want to make sure I'm clear though. You're saying that there are medically trained volunteers who want to provide medical support inside of shelters?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that information from. What I can say is this, that the conditions in which people are arriving in, there is no secret that they have been showing up sick. That's not a secret. There's been ambulatory runs even at police districts. This is not new information. What we're clear about is that until we get a real handle on what is happening internationally, the city of Chicago, the city of Denver, the city of New York, and all these other cities in which this raggedy governor in Texas is shipping people across the world, and particularly throughout the country, until we get a handle on that, we're going to constantly be placed in a position where we're going to have to come up with innovative approaches to address this migrant crisis. And let me just be absolutely clear. Since taking office, we have stood up countless shelters. We have provided education, employment opportunities, medical care, trauma-related services, while at the same time making sure that returning residents, which is why we're here today. Don't interrupt me. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Don't disrespect the people who have been working on the front line, fighting to bring dignity to black people, who have been harmed by the same policies that Buddy from Texas is trying to instigate.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it all. Thank you all. God bless you.